Hello there, Sally-Ann, PT Skills, and this video is on the respiratory system and the mechanisms of breathing. So, notebook, pen, as per usual, there will be a task at the end. So let's share away. Here we go. I might head over to the flip chart for this one at some point as well. Let's hope I can make it there in one piece because I'm in a new studio at the minute. Okay, here we go. So mechanisms of breathing. So we're looking at the stages of breathing in terms of when we inhale, what happens with the diaphragm, what happens with the rib cage, and all the muscles around it. So, so when we breathe in, our diaphragm contracts and flattens, as well as our internal intercostal muscles or external intercostal muscles, to kind of pull the rib cage up and out, because we need to create space for air to come in. So unless the rib cage is moved up and out and the diaphragm pulled down, we're not going to create space in that thoracic cavity. So this decreases the pressure. So because there's more room, there's less pressure, therefore air can actually come in through the airways. So air can rush in and equalize the pressure within the lungs and the outside world. So that's kind of what happens when we breathe in. The lungs then can fill with air. If we don't have this expansion of the rib cage, then the lungs cannot expand either. So because they'll be crammed in there and they won't be able to expand either. So it's really important that as we breathe in, the rib cage is lifting up and out, the diaphragm is pulling down so we can allow for that air in. And I'll show you a little, one of my really amazing diagrams in a minute. So that's what happens when we breathe in. And then when we breathe out, the diaphragm relaxes, moves back up in, the internal and external intercostal muscles and rectus abdominis contract. Mainly, especially when we have forceful exhalation, because the rectus abdominis and intercostals want to kind of force the air out by contracting to push the air out so we can forcefully breathe out. So this increases the pressure within the thoracic cavity and pushes the air out because there's less space, so there's more pressure. So think of it as a room filled with lots of people and the walls closing in, the pressure is greater, so people have to evacuate. So that's the same thing that what happens with the air. So the air is forced to be pushed out of the lungs through the trachea in order to equalize the pressure. I'm just going to switch my camera over. I'm just going to stop share for a moment, switch my camera over to my flip chart. Let's hope. Here we go. Hopefully you can see me over here now. Okay, so if I draw one of my really naff diagrams for this. So we've got the body, the spine, we've got the 12 pairs of ribs. So I'm going to try and count them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 pairs of really unequal ribs. And underneath this bottom rib, we've got the diaphragm, which I'm actually going to draw in a different colour, which kind of sits right underneath here. So what happens when we breathe in, this diaphragm, we pull it down. So it comes down, which sucks the air in. So, and then the rib cage is going to move up and out, which is going to create space, more space in this thoracic cavity. And then as we breathe out, the opposite happens. So we've got that diaphragm here, and we've pulled it down to inhale in, so it's almost going to come down to a flat position, which is allowing more space here. We've got greater space here. And as we breathe out, it happens the opposite, and it goes back up so the air can evacuate out. So it's just a case of creating space in that cavity. I like to think of it as a syringe. So if we've got a syringe and we're pulling it down, as the diaphragm comes down, the air is coming into the syringe, isn't it? And as we push the syringe back up, the air is being forced out. And it's the same principle if we think of this diaphragm here as that syringe where we're pulling it down to bring the air in and pushing it up to let the air out. I'm going to go back over here now, swap you back over and give you a task. So I'm just going to share back into the screen there. Here we go. Okay, so your task. What I want you to do is list those stages of inhalation. So go back at those slides, read them, watch again, and then list the stages of inhalation. So what's happening to the diaphragm as we inhale, what's happening to the pressure within the thoracic cavity, what's happening to the internal, external intercostal muscles, the rectus abdominis, what's happening as we breathe in, and then list what is happening as we breathe out. So you could have a staged process of how this works. You could do a little diagram next to it if that helps you understand what's happening with the diaphragm as well. And we would love to see your pictures when you have done it too, so you can pop them below. And if you have any questions, you can throw them below as well. And I will see you in the next video.